want to hear that news.
I don't think anybody does. Hello, everybody, and welcome. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. There may have been some comedy happening right before we went live there, so I apologize for laughing a little bit, but that is due to my very funny co-host, Tom. How you doing, buddy?
Hello, friends.
See, I said something nice about you, Tom. There you
go. You did.
That's your Christmas present for this year, Tom. Congratulations. I said one nice thing about you on the show. Merry Christmas.
Woo!
Also joining us this week, he's back. It's Ant from the Sustainable Center. How you doing, buddy?
I'm on my my throne, my workbench that doesn't get any working anymore.
Exactly. He's on the X workbench. That is correct. Good to have you back on the show, man. We're going to be talking some mixed destruction tonight. We're going to be talking about all the fun ways that you can rampage across the mortal realms with some other interesting options outside of maybe your traditional Beast Claw or Iron Jaws and stuff like that when you want to take it up a level. I think mixed forces have been getting a little more attention recently as I've seen them showing up on a lot more lists, and mixed destruction is probably one of the more challenging ones in that mix. I think mixed chaos has probably got a stronger play, but we're going to talk about what we can do with mixed destruction. What are our best?
I can't tell you how many times I've looked at a mixed destruction list and went, Like that'll sum up this segment for me. It's
all about losing in style.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, look, you've got to admit there are a few cooler ways to lose than with mixed destruction, because some of the units we're going to talk about, like I got some hot ones that honestly they're units that I love, but like basically outside of mixed destruction you can't put them on the table. So I think there is a good justification to get some of these fun units on the table, so we're going to talk that through. But of course we're going to start with the news. So Tommy, take us away with our very short brief news week as we head into the holiday here.
So we have a rumor engine.
We do. I will bring that up now because I'm prepared. Sort of. It's coming. I swear. It's going to happen. Here we go. Any minute now.
Almost.
So many clicks. All right.
Okay.
There we go.
So the horsehair. That's like a pony's tail, right?
It's not a pony's tail. You're so ridiculous. This is like the best.
It is a mountable object, a mountable beast.
It's elf hair. It's absolutely elf hair. Yes. 100% it's elf hair. What are you even talking about? You finally have like the clearest picture of an elf outside of just a picture of an elf model.
Maybe it's Marathi.
I did see people try to pull out Marathi. That seems like too strong of a call. Like just immediately going to Marathi.
Corresponds to that mountable beast thing.
How long do you think they sit in the meetings in GW and say what random as part of the model are we going to take a picture of?
No, this is pure community team right here. This is unadulterated community team. Executive decisions are not going on here.
Seems like going on here.
My personal guess is somebody takes I think the way they do it, I have no insight in this, but my personal guess is they take 80 pictures of basically models hyper zoomed in, and then every week they kind of look over them on they got a big post-it board right behind them of just all these zoomed in photos, and they're like, that one, do that.
Sure.
The crotch shot, that's what the destruction would get. Shot.
Absolutely. Just real zoomed in on an orcish cod piece. Absolutely.
So elves, they're coming. Great. We've been having elven rumors since last
March. The first elvish rumor was in March. Yes, because it was the March is the little girl, the clearly female elf hand with the little dragon
wrapped on it. Yeah,
pseudo dragon on her arm.
How terrible is that? They could have been teasing that out a year out.
It's going to be at least. Yeah.
Yep. GW, thank you for being you. That's what I'm going to say. Thank you for the new and improved GW.
Hey, they're giving you information a year in advance.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm like, if that's coming across sarcastically, it's only semi-sarcastically.
Sure.
Because I mean, I am thankful for it obviously it helps generate conversation.
Sure. I love the rumor engine. It gives us a guaranteed piece of news every week. It's fantastic.
It keeps me employed, and by employed, I mean have something to talk about on Wednesday evenings.
Do your only actual job on this show. Yes. No, that's good.
No, it's good. Right. So we had the Black Library calendar, the Black Library Advent calendar. I knew it was that religious word. The Black Library Advent calendar continues to roll.
The irony there is so deep. I can't even begin.
I know it is. I know.
All right. Keep going.
Oh, I recognize. And most recently we had the Old Ways short story that dropped. These are all audiobooks. I think it's fairly inexpensive. And did you say that it was like what, $3.99 for this week's? Something like that, US. Yeah, and this one is like a murder mystery. Like two investigators going outside city. A swamp. There's been a murder near a swamp or something, and so it's one of those kind of down to earth stories that we've been looking for. Like where people are like, oh, everything's so disconnected. It's just about demigods and armies and unending war. And
well, this is two very human and well, I mean they're not human, but in the normal whatever. This is two very mortal people. There you go. How about that?
Yes.
Going out and investigating. And this is a direct carry on from The City of Secrets, which was Josh Reynolds' book that was very well received. These are two characters from that book, actually, continuing on their story. Apparently, I will admit not knowing the full intricacies, but apparently they have a whole trilogy around them coming.
I thought there was like 7 books, it said.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah. Yes, they are like a big deal or something. Hey, I may pick up one of these Black Library stories. I've been interested in listening to the audiobooks while I paint. So
it's the way to go. I mean, let's face it, we're always hungry for content while you're painting. I mean, that's the reality of the thing. So yeah, and it's amazing. It's shocking how fast I burn through all my YouTube content now.
It's so true.
Like, so true. Ant, I need you back on the consistency stick, buddy. I need you doing like 20, 30-minute rants every day again. That was really my go-to. What happened?
Last one got me in a lot of trouble, so I'm not supposed to do
that. I can relate to that. So Aaron, so to continue on the Black Library rumor train, Aaron Dembski-Bowden did an AMA, sorry, and Ask Me Anything, thread interaction thing recently, and one of the conversations that he brought up was he just talked about he was a very slow adopter to he was a late adopter to GW stuff. The old world kind of resentment and discontinuation really hit him hard. But he had been asked to do some script work, and he had to sign a bunch of NDAs when he was doing it. And as a result of that, he ended up seeing what he said was some insanely awesome stuff coming down the pipe in AOS's future. And it's actually what turned him like all the way around on the new setting. So that's where we're like, so again, we continue to get these like little leaks of like, hey, some super awesome stuff is coming. No one knows what that is, but it's coming and it's supposed to be good. Okay. So that's the thing.
I mean, look, everything that we've said or everything I've seen spoiled and the conversations I've had and what's been generally out there, like in the little hints and teases, is that 2018 is going to be a really big year for AOS. I have no doubt that the production schedule is what hit AOS hard. Like, I'm willing to bet we were supposed to originally have another release somewhere this year, and it got pushed back because
I'll bet it would have been this fall.
Anything. Yeah,
I'd put money that it should have been this fall, or it should have started the fall and went into the spring.
Yep.
And I think that we just got hit by that production schedule. No, I agree. And 8th edition 40K's overwhelming success. I suspect that was a big piece of this as well.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, like, and again, as we said before, like I don't hate on him for that. If I had the money printing machine, I don't know that I would decide to switch off of the not money printing machine.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a good call. Also this week, kind of in engagement, somebody had started a like 5 wishes for GW in 2018.
Yeah, the Twitter. Top #5 or top Yeah, top 5 GW wishes or whatever it is.
Yeah, for 2018. And like, I did it, and I was like, "Oh, neat! This is fun. I'll do it." And then like Pete Foley was like, "Hey, send me all your top 5s," and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna get interesting." And so it was funny to see like to post that and to watch like who Pete was favoriting, like which ones he was favoriting and which ones he wasn't, because he wasn't doing all of them.
Sure, I wouldn't read the tea leaves too well there.
Yeah, and I'm not. I just acknowledge that there's some really interesting ideas in seeing like GW's affirmation and stuff like that on some of those.
So, Tom, what was your number 1?
Death aligned, a death aligned elf release, a death aligned spirit calling elf release that are aiming to harvest souls out of Slaanesh.
Nice. My number 1 was, it led to a very funny exchange. My number 1 was, I said plastic slash codex Sisters of Battle, right? Okay. And Tyler Mengel responded back, a plastic codex? That's going to be very cost prohibitive. And I said, and then that occurred to me as the greatest troll in the history of mankind, because it would be amazing if Pete was just like, that's it, we're releasing the plastic Sisters of Battle. And then he just pulls back the curtain and it's just literally the codex in plastic. Codex. Just a plastic codex. Like, here you go. We did what you said, plastic Sisters of Battle.
Paint your own numbers.
No models.
Paint your own art.
Yeah, 0 new models, just the plastic codex. I was like, my God, the cry of nerd rage would crack the planet. It would be so loud. It's just that
it would be fantastic.
What I thought was fun was how many people. So I like, obviously you can just search the hashtag on Twitter, right? And just look at everybody's all the way down, everybody who tagged it appropriately. So I spent a lot of time because I've been traveling the past couple of days. And so I spent a couple, time sitting in airports and stuff. So I was kind of flipping through everybody's. And what really I thought was cool was just how many people put like Mordheim or some kind of Mordheim or a Mordheim-ish thing. There's clearly a lot of appetite out there for it. A lot of people that made their top 5 list.
Yep. Yeah, I've just given up hope on the skirmish thing. Not like, again, Bottle is employed with GW now. For those that didn't catch that piece of news, Bottle, Tony, right? Tony? Sam, sorry. Yeah, Sam is now a member of GW's rules writing team. He's the one that did Hinterlands.
Right.
And so there's hope that we may actually get a some type of Mordheim-esque adapted Hinterlands, like something that's not skirmish, to fill that skirmish hole. So, which is a super exciting. Hinterlands was a great product. So it reminded me a lot of our old Mordheim.
Sure, I mean for being basically his creation. I mean, come on, that's an incredible amount of work he did.
Yeah.
So I think that was absolutely the right choice, bringing him on board, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, GW was awesome and shared with us, clarifying any confusion around that Lord Celestin that's releasing and him not being the Herald. They very clearly communicated to us what has, what we know about malign portents.
Sure.
There's a huge debate on the one room.
Oh, sure. Is the helmetless Lord Celestin actually the
Herald?
Yeah.
Yes. And then like the next day we received this infographic.
Sure.
And I was like, great timing, G-dubs. So they say something dark is coming with the darkened label. What could that mean? Who knows? And then just acknowledging that we have 2 new models that are going to be the Heralds.
Dude, that Knight of Shrouds or whatever is just crazy awesome. That dude looks so sweet.
He does. He really does.
Well, when you only get one model in 2 years, you better make it look good.
Fair enough. Look, hey, Death hasn't gotten much, but at least they're getting this good one. I suspect they'll see a lot more real soon, but given the tone and tenor of this release.
How many Death factions do you think we'll see in 2018? Like sub-factions, battle tomes.
I think you'll see one. I think you'll see one battle tome, but I think it'll support multiple factions.
Oh, you think we'll get a multi? You think we'll get a multi-release like
Chaos?
You think we'll get a Chaos-esque release?
Yeah, just because I think the way death works is very unique in that it definitely has one guy at the top. Right? Like that's like one of the interesting things about death is that it's got this whole Death Lords faction, which isn't like the Everchosen. Like, sure, Archeon.
No, it is.
Whatever.
No,
it's not because Archeon isn't really in charge of everybody. Like he's the Everchosen and whatever. He's Chaos Unaligned or whatever, right? But he's not actually the guy in charge. Okay. Like the Chaos Gods are in charge and they still war against each other, right? They'll back Archeon's play in general to go conquer the mortal realms, but they'd throw him away in a heartbeat, right? Whereas Nagash, he's the guy at the top. That's it. There ain't no boss above him, right? Like he's the CEO, brother. Okay. All the decisions are final. And so it's a very interesting, like, Death is a very top-down organization. Well, it's Ants on the show. We've got to start having business-like type organizational structure meetings.
Nothing like a literally captive dead audience.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's a good call. I think we're gonna get more than one battle tome.
Okay. I mean, they could. At the same time, they could always trot it out like they did with Beast Claws and Bone Splitters and stuff like that, right? Just kind of do a couple successive with it. Okay.
I think we'll get 2 in the first half of the year, and then I think we'll maybe get 1 at the end. Maybe. I mean, that's ambitious. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But I know that they recognize the call for death, and we've been preaching a Deathcast Eternals for a while.
Yep.
I think
which
that'll
people
be
had a strong reaction to in the comments in the last show, by the way.
They really did. I don't know if that'll be part of Death Lords or if that'll be its own thing.
It'll be its own thing.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think it would be its own thing. I think the Death Lords will be its own thing, and I think a Death Rattle or possibly another Death release that we like, something we don't see coming. Does that make sense? Like something perpendicular to what our expectations are.
There absolutely has to be a Death Rattle, and I think it's probably the thing we were already going to get before production got stopped up. Because the way Shadespire released, the fact that Death Rattle didn't happen in the in the General's Handbook, right?
Yeah.
Like it just
the timing was weird. You would expect, like, all the other factions for Shadespire are new factions, quote unquote new factions, with new releases, except for the skeletons.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think in their long-term plan, we were already supposed to have it, and it just didn't work out that way. So
no, it's a good call. It's a good call. Yeah. So that's coming. We'll see. I was thinking about it. I think that Malign Portents, like the darkness that's coming to the realms. I'm gonna make a called shot here.
Okay, go for it.
This is how I think it's gonna end. Okay,
I'm ready.
Because in the infographic, they're like, the age of hope dies, darkness descends or whatever.
Sure.
I think the answer here is Tyrion.
Okay.
The Lord
Define
of Light.
What you mean? Yeah, sure.
I think Tyrion, I think the shining Heish elves are gonna show up. Like, I think that they're gonna be what dispels the darkness. If I were to call, so Sigmar's gonna get in under his head, and they're gonna come riding in, and like their light, the proverbial light will dispel the darkness, and then you'll get another order release, which will be the Tyrion elves, the Tyrion Teclis elves. And it may even be like a light and darkness one, because like Teclis always had the moon associated, and so you could get like a subdivided like sun and moon style elf, like.
How many moons are there in the mortal realms, Tom? Is it like Ebron where there's like 13 moons?
I don't know. That's never dark. You can always see everything.
It's always light. It's too many moons.
No, it's a great question. Who knows? Who knows? G-Dubs. Make that happen. Tell us how many moons are in in each of the mortal realms.
Right.
In each of the mortal realms.
Well, Shyish clearly has 0. Probably, or maybe 1, so they can do like the bad moon thing. It's just always cloud covered, right? But like the heavens, whatever, like Azer, it's all moons. It's like 72 moons. It's just moons all the way down. Everywhere's moons.
Fantastic. Just fantastic.
Sure.
Yep. That's all I got.
There you go. All right. Very good. Well, let's turn to some pick of the week then. So, Ant, over to you, buddy. What do you got? What's your pick of the week?
I picked Once Bitten's video because he was in like a 6.5-month slumber, and he's the only one I know that would hibernate during the summer and come out in the winter. And made a video mostly about the ninth age, and then I think at like 5 minutes at the end. By the way, like I'm painting bricks on like my castle still from like 2012, and you know that was basically the extent of his video. So you know, for the future, you know he should flip that.
Just open.
Everybody cares about the multicolored brick castle. Only certain people care about the ninth age. So
that's a good point. That castle, let's face it, we've all followed its development with bated breath over the life of his channel. I mean, it's absolutely true.
It has its own Facebook page. Like it has like a timeline.
I am going to immediately start a Twitter after this called Once Bitten's Multicolored Castle. Like that's
his Rainbow Castle.
OB's Rainbow Castle. There you go. I'm going to start a Twitter account, and it'll always just be tweeting about progress on the castle. Like another 7 bricks were done today. 7,422 to go.
It should be from the perspective, Vince, of like a bricklayer. So like an actual person in world reflecting on their experience.
Reflecting on the castle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Delightful. That's a good one. Yes, I like that video. I talked to OB a bit about it. It was a very interesting video. The reason he's hibernating, by the way, in the summer, Ant, is exactly because he is the opposite of a bear. He's actually like physically active and fit. He's just out running marathons and stuff in the summer. He doesn't have time for this. Whereas the rest of us are like sunshine, warm, what? No, stay away from that. That is horrible. I gotta stay indoors at all points in time. I'll go up like a match if I go outside. Are you crazy? That guy, he's out there living the healthy lifestyle. So, Tommy, what do you got, buddy? What's your pick?
Tyler Mangle did a post today on his blog about ways to maximize his time, like how to Vince and I are always talking about the war against the gray, and like what we aim to do is to help people get through. And Tyler offers some very practical tips on how to accomplish that. Set deadlines and a number of other points. I don't want to spoil all of his points. I would encourage you to go read the blog.
Yeah, and the funny part is how often I see this post. And like, look, I will openly admit I'm an addict. Okay, I try to but I know I'm a weirdo. Like, I will paint every free minute I can every day. Period. End of story. Like, I don't ever have a problem of like, oh, do I want to start painting? No, I want to start painting every second. But the reality is I see a lot of I know I'm the weirdo. I see a lot of posts of people like, I've got some hobby block. I don't know what to do. I'm sick of painting this thing or whatever. And it can be a challenge for a lot of people to get through, especially when you're doing like some grindy type unit painting. And I think his advice is very practical for how to approach it. And actually get those practices down that get you to accomplishment. And the more you accomplish and reach that end, and the more you get that shot of like, I did this. I finished
positive reinforcement.
Yeah. The more you want it all the time, right? It's a self-reinforcing cycle if you let it happen. So, right on. My pick of the week is going to be a direction to our old buddy Victor Case, who does his hobby videos. And most recently, he did a video about zenithal priming with a rattle can. I talk about zenithal priming a lot with an airbrush, but I recommend zenithal for everybody. And he shows you zenithal priming with a rattle can and how it's still very quick and easy. And it makes a huge difference in my mind as to enabling you to paint faster. I would never recommend, again, in my mind, 99% of all miniatures should start with a zenithal priming. There are a few exceptions, but they are rarefied. So check that out. I'll link that below. It's good because it answers the question of like, can I do this with a rattle can? And he shows you that the answer is most definitely yes. So even if you don't have an airbrush setup, yes. And I know it's like winter time. The other thing I always see people talk about in the winter is like, I can't prime because it's cold out. This is a mystery to me, because I think maybe you don't have heating in your house. But like if you keep the model and the rattle can and everything indoors, and then you walk out into your garage or whatever covered space you have, spray the thing, walk back inside, and put it in your bathroom with the fan on, it's fine. The fig never leaves room temperature. The can never leaves room temperature. Just put it in your bathroom and turn the fan on, if assuming you have some kind of fan in your bathroom. So that's all you really need. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Or just buy an airbrush.
Buying an airbrush would be the best way to go. At like an $80 to $100 investment, it's the best investment you'll ever make for just getting priming done any time of the year, as well as base coating. Base coating is pretty much the worst, so why not make it the fastest, easiest thing you can do? But there you go.
Agreed.
All right. Okay. Doom and Darkness said you're looking slim, by the way. Ant wants to congratulate you on your workout routine. So
yeah, I don't know what he's smoking. Must be Australia time, but
so all right. Other pick that I just want to sort of briefly mention is everybody has until Sunday night to post their nominations on the Warhammer YouTuber End of Year Awards. So if you have not yet nominated your people, I will link that video down below. This is the nomination video. We're collecting all the nominations from everybody in the, or sorry, you have till end of night, Saturday midnight, Saturday Eastern. There you go. Okay. This is where we're collecting the nominations from everybody. And we'll be doing the actual nomination announcement video and opening the voting on Sunday. So look for that to happen. There'll be a video that goes up specifically around the announcement of the nominees and the opening of the voting. But if you have channels you like, you support, you want to share with people, make sure you shout them out. Go to that video, drop your noms and the links to their channels in the comments. So there you go. I know a lot of people already have. So please do. I have already discovered like 3 new channels, and I'm going to be reaching out to them to get them on the show just from the nominees that have been shared so far. So that's one of the reasons that I love the awards, and one of the main reasons we do it is to actually share the channels we love with everybody, because we got to boost the signal of this stuff. So okay, so let's talk about some hobby time. Ant, what have you been working on, buddy?
I've been working on batch painting 30 black orcs, so they're about half done. I did about 40 night goblins. I did all the squig stuff. I did the giant gargantula, the giant rock monster from the Rogue Idol. The Colossus squig. I had a lot of passion for those squigs, so I just kind of I banged through them quite quickly. Hit a little bit of a slowdown just because I haven't had time to paint. But I've been doing a lot of destruction, and I feel like I'm just cherry picking the worst units out of destruction, which isn't hard because there's a lot of bad units in destruction.
There is.
So, and all the things that are just like dumpster fire. So I have like the dumpster fire army of destruction. But I'm enjoying painting it. It's just unfortunate painting and what's good on the table never kind of correlates. But that's what
I disagree.
Well, there's a little bit of alignment.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll say, come on, those Ard boys, the Black Orcs, they're good. Like, I like those guys. A pack of 30 of them, that's a pretty solid investment.
Not when they're backed by night goblins. It's just a terrible.
True story.
Well, that might be. But anyway, I think in general, my preferred method is obviously 30 of them is a pretty decent anvil. It's 60 wounds. If you give them the shields and stuff, they get the extra save. That's tough to kill through in a game. Like, that's the reality of that. If that thing's sitting on a point, it's hard to move. Okay.
Right.
It's funny because I've got another 10 of them like back in my case over there, which I'll talk about that in a second. But and I just like those guys take me so much time because of how I'm doing this army. And so I was like, I keep putting them off. Like, oh, I'll work on something else. I'll work on something else. And I'm working on something else. All right. So but I got to get them done eventually. Tom, what about you? What you working on, brother?
So it felt like it took me literally like years to complete that ship.
Your ironclad, yeah.
My ironclad, and it's done. I just have to post it. She's over here. But in the last day, in the meantime, I've went through like a whirlwind of work. I got my test model done for my Volkites. which some of you I think have probably seen on my on my tweeters, where I'm actually going to be doing like a crazy freehand pattern on every Volkite Berserker. So that's happening. I'm trying to see if I can actually find that image that I had posted.
While you're looking for that, did you see? I'm trying to remember who posted it, but did you see the? Oh, there you go. It was JP Miniatures. Did you see the Skaven converted ironclad?
I did. It was beautiful.
It was. Here, let's let link. We'll lock on you.
Yep.
I love that idea. I
So
just wish there was something to proxy it for.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, like I've looked for those proxies. So this is the base. Like I didn't do a lot of highlighting and everything. This is just a lot of the base colors and stuff like that. Like I did some of my coloring. You can't see like, so this is the front. You can actually see the freehand on the back, on the shoulders. I did the lava pattern that I did on my Griffhounds. And I'm going to be doing that on every single one of my 60 Volkite Berserkers. So
it's the right answer.
It's clearly the right. I will probably debate that. About 10 in, but we'll see. So, but in the meantime, I finished this guy yesterday, and then in this last day, I've done the flesh on all 30 of the first block. I've done the undershading for that.
Are we still supposed to be looking at your Twitter?
No, sorry. I did the undershading. Oops. I did the undershading. I closed the window. It just didn't close like I wanted it to.
Well, you should scroll up on your Twitter so everybody can see that other thing that you just happened to you.
What, this?
Yes.
The monstrosity, landmine delivered. This was my Black Friday buys, and this was part of the order. I still have another box coming in the mail. Yeah, so that happened. Anyways, nope, you don't get to look at any more events. So what was I saying? But yeah, so I got like all the undershading done. I have all the lighting done on those guys, so the oranges and the yellows for the lava. So now I'm like, and while I've been like going in between, like letting those guys dry, all of the base coats on my first 4 heroes are all done. So I'm now at like I'm at the like washing and highlighting stage of my heroes. So like I've went from working on a single model for like 3 weeks to suddenly not, like making significant progress on a large portion of Fire Slayers. So that's happening.
Cool. I dig it, man. That's
and
awesome.
I found these really sweet base things from Cyborg. So one of the problems is for your dwarf heroes is you need something to like identify them because they blend into the rest of your stuff for your Fire Slayers.
It's all just short, stunty people.
Yeah, and so I have all of them standing on like broken statues, and so like you would appreciate this, Vince. Like all of them are standing on dwarf heads.
I very much appreciate that. You know, I'm a fan of getting miniatures up off the ground, raise them vertically.
Yep,
I may be a fan of that.
So there we go. I'm gonna have all of my Fire Slayer heroes very easily picked off by line of sight. It'll be delightful.
So what?
It is what it is. I knew what I did when I mounted those on those bases.
Exactly. You made cool models. I say, damn the torpedoes. That's what I say. So there you go. My own personal hobby time. Well, it's been sort of split the past week. So the first thing is I finished my. I'll do this here. I'll
show us.
There you go. So I finished my reset of my office to all my new cases. This is part of them. There's also the 2 new cases over here, and there's a new case back here on this wall that has like all the Tomb Kings and Skaven in it. So it's a lot, but I've still got a little bit of space. You look up top there. There's still a little bit of space in that one. So that's nice for the future Sisters of Battle as I continue to expand that. There's a little bit of room in there. But yeah, and then, just various stuff. So got everything organized how I like it, reorganized the whole basement, got everything done, everything reset. That took about 2.5 days over the weekend that was like a full 13 hours of banging together IKEA furniture, which is always a good time. That's how you party right there. And then once I finished that up, it was time to get back to actually doing the fun stuff. So I'm working on some Necromunda Escher girls. Yeah. This will be for a unit. This will be my unit for painting competition. And it's probably not incredibly visible, but what the theme I decided to go for was having them be cybernetically altered. So you can see that she doesn't have the big whip. She has like the little AdMech, like floating servo thingy. And like she has a cyber arm and a cyber leg. I don't know if that shows or not. But basically, Tom had found this really awesome box and he asked me if I wanted it. He said you found it for like half price or something, right?
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, sure. And I was originally going to use it for Skaven. It's these guys, these little like AdMech dudes, their little robot arms and legs. And so these guys were perfect. So now all my chicks have little cyber arms and some of them have cyber legs and stuff like that. It seems very Necromunda-y to lose limbs and replace them with machine parts in the Underhive. So I'm pretty excited about them. They came together real nice. So just getting down some paint on them.
Nice.
Looking forward to that. I've had to spend a lot of time researching like Shadowrun art and cyberpunk girls and stuff like that. It was all just research, of course. But like I did manage to find a lot of good art inspiration. So I'm pretty set on my color scheme and things like that now. So, okay. I am very much looking forward to that. Once I get done with them, I think it'll be on to the really big project. Like there's a big project that I've got for competition next year.
Is this the scenery one?
No, this isn't the dual piece.
Oh, this is the pose piece.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot. Like I already know looking into it that I'm probably looking at like 200 hours of work. So it's going to be like, that's going to be a lot. Like that'll take a solid month. So, but it'll be fun. So there we go. All right.
A whole lot of nope.
You can still see the Arrakis poster when you're standing there. Somebody had said that I covered up my Arrakis poster. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like they didn't align perfectly with how I wanted them, but in the end, I liked this poster being more visible than the Arrakis poster. So I may or may not have sent a couple Warhammer piece of art requests to my wife for Christmas gifts. Nice. Yeah, I'm hoping to have some more Warhammer art in the room as well very soon. So
are you going to do any of the AOS pieces?
Yeah, all of them.
Were they? Did you do the throne room, the celestial throne room?
There was a couple different that I sent her.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Cool. So we'll see. There's another one from another company I saw that's like a 5-panel poster that is the old Chaos Champion versus the Warrior Priest, like from War.
Yeah.
I didn't send that along, but I'm really thinking about that one because that looks super sweet. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right. Let's talk about some destruction, shall we? So mixed destruction. Obviously, the idea we're leaving behind Iron Jaws or Beast Claw Raiders or Bone Splitters. We're leaving behind these specific things.
We're leaving behind what we would call competitive lists.
We're leaving behind what we would call good armies. And we're going to talk about mixed destruction. And is there a way to salvage this? Is it truly a dumpster fire, as many have said, or is there actual quality here? That's the question we intend to answer tonight. So, inquiring minds want to know. So let's start at the beginning with sort of the general play and sort of way that the army works and some experiences. So, Ant, guess what, buddy? We're flipping over to you. Okay?
Oh,
that's right. So what's your experience been running some mixed destruction so far?
It's a dumpster fire. It's just... So you have big monsters that are very fragile. So, and you have... The Rogue Idol's pretty good, but, I mean, he's a standalone, right? I think the issue is your army's going to be built around mainly Iron Jaws, because that's the kind of the good, decent faction.
So you're doing Iron Jaws, you're just not doing Iron Jaws.
Right. So you can't... The issue is you can't ally in any of the cool monsters, right? Because they're all generic destruction.
Yep.
Not to bring them, hence you never bring them. So I just call it lose with style. You just take a lot of monsters, you can throw a lot of shit at the wall. You can throw a lot of goblins at the wall. It's kind of depressing the night goblins aren't very good. Generic goblins are kind of better. They're lower costed and they have a toolbox in terms of when they stack up, which is unfortunate. And I think the squigs are decent, but they're a little overcosted. Really, if you think it's more along the lines of like the goblin stuff, right? So if you're going to go back to like Goblin Army from 8th edition, that's a lot of the destruction stuff kicking around outside the ogres. And unfortunately, it doesn't play and scale well like you would see from swordsmen, or you would see from a skeleton horde, or it just scales poorly. That's I think the problem with it.
Well, one of the challenges there, though, is that there's no, like, from a generic battle line standpoint, you have, like, 4 units? Something like that?
Yeah, a lot of things are battle line, but only if taken
Yep.
clan, or like, which obviously you can't do, so you're stuck with grots.
Yep.
Are ogre bulls? I think generic ogre bulls are.
They are, yeah.
They are.
And they were going to be. They're going to have some discussion when we talk about battle line later on, because I do believe in them as a battle line choice. But yes, you're right. Overall, the battle line choices are not as robust in a generic sort of fashion as you would like. I mean, when you go in faction, you're usually spoiled for choice, right? Like if you're just Iron Jaws or something, it's like you don't even think about your battle line. It just happens. Right. But once you go out to generic, you really do have to start thinking about it much more.
Not only that, I would also say that as much as GW tried to hit battalions with a nerf bat, with the penalties, like the reality is that at the highest tiers of competitive play, like battalions are still have a very significant showing on those lists. And so what happened is that if you don't have a battalion to lower your drops, then you're going to struggle. And Destruction just doesn't have many battalions in their off factions. Like Ironjaws have battalions, and some Savage Orcs have some battalions. That's it. Like all the other secondaries lost their battalions in the compendium, the Great Compendium calling.
Right.
So battalions are still a really big deal.
Well, and it's true. I think it's. I think when you're looking at, well, that being said, I don't disagree with you, but I think if you're outside of mixed chaos, who can still cheat with lots of different battalions and actually pull, even in a mixed chaos list, basically can pull some kind of, a low drop. I think if you do like mixed order, mixed destruction, mixed death, one of the things you have to accept is that you will never make the drop choice, right? And you just have to play into that. Like, right. I don't disagree with what you're saying, that it's important. It's a sacrifice. Like, you have to take it in, as it is one of the negatives of the army, right?
Well,
I'm not trying to minimize it.
Like, in some matches, you are on your heels before the game begins. Like, you are already at a disadvantage, because if you can't go first and take the points in Duality of Death and bunker around them, then that means they're going to be able to do that. And so, and if they have hard to shift units that they've moved up there, you're just going to lose when the game started. Like, again, I'm talking against the highest tiers of competitive lists. Like, against a normal mixed, most your opponent's not going to be an issue. But in that game 5, where it matters, the people that you're playing, whatever, like, they are going to, like, it's going to be hard to win those games, is what I would say.
Sure.
So.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Now, it's not that it can't be done. So please don't misunderstand me. It can certainly be done. Great play is always going to trump any of those other things.
Of course. And I would also say, if you're running mixed destruction, you probably want to sort of think in your head, like, all right, I'm not building a hard edge tier 1 list here.
Right. Yep.
I mean, like, you already know what those are. And like, that's not why you came here. You came, in my opinion, you came to this force to run a bunch of fun units and to run. I think you can make something competitive out of this. That doesn't mean hardest edge, sharpest point of the knife, right? Tip of the spear. But that doesn't mean you can't be competitive on the table. I think you absolutely can be competitive on the table with this stuff. Okay. Yeah, I agree with all of that said. And I think that you have to, anytime we talk about this mixed stuff, you've got to look at it and go, okay, well, I lose the drop war, so I know that. Now what?
And they don't even have tools like Griffhounds, to mitigate the drop war or dropping off table. Both of those things can help mitigate, like, Fire Slayers will lose the drop rate, but all their key pieces are off the table, so you can't alpha strike them off.
Right.
So it doesn't matter that they lost the drop or like Griffhounds, you can bunker around key units so that if they drop and you have the shooting, you can delete stuff when it pops up. So I mean, there are tools in other factions. Destruction just they literally have fanatics. That's it, and that's not going to stop Alpha Strike shooting.
Yeah, very true. Okay. No, I agree. But nonetheless, I think it's still very possible. So should we talk about the generic destruction allegiance ability, kind of the way it works,
Sure.
the new modified destruction move, as it were, which Ironjaws have a sort of version of as well, right? But so for those at home, the way that this works, if you're not familiar, is for your general and all of your destruction heroes, you roll a die during your start of your turn, basically. And on a 6, you get to move in some way depending on how close the unit you want to move is to the enemy.
Yep.
Right? So if you're farther than 12 inches, you can make a 6-inch move. If you're within 12 inches, you can make a charge. If you're within 3 inches, you can pile in. Okay. If you're rolling for the general, you add 2 to the roll, meaning you're doing it on a 4-up. You get to add this destruction move. What I will say is interesting is that it's probably easier for generic destruction to just like poop out a lot of heroes than because they can take a lot of like cheap goblin trash and have this destruction move. And like you think it's only on a 6. I will say I like in most games where I play my Ironjaws, where everything except the one mega boss is triggering on a 6. It's very similar. And I have less heroes. I still get at least one of them off a turn. Right. And I have a buddy in my group who plays mixed destruction, and he usually runs like about 5 heroes in his army. And I would say every turn he gets a free move. Right. And he just keeps enough heroes sort of around the key units he really wants to move that when one triggers, he gets to move that unit. Right. Because the key is you get to apply that to a thing within 6 inches. So that's kind of, I think the general premise. Overall, it's certainly a lot weaker than the old destruction move, but on the flip side, it's a lot less annoying because you don't have to like roll through a dice for every single unit, which I will openly admit I hated the time sink that was. Like, I know it was more powerful, but God, was it just an awful, awful time sink. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I think you can control it if you just have your heroes in the right positions, right? I don't think it's terrible. A free 6-inch move is a free 6-inch move. That's what it boils down to. It can also clear out a lot of stuff if you just get to free charge in your hero phase. So it's not a bad thing. It also has interesting interactions with a couple different rule sets if you charge people in the hero phase. Like the order detachment rule.
Yeah.
Right? Like fires off in the charge phase. It doesn't fire off in the hero phase. So like being able to charge them out of phase actually you'll still get handgunned if you charge the handgunner unit directly, because that's about just simply being charged. But the detachment rule won't fire off in the hero phase. So you can actually get in there and wreck that unit, and the other people won't get to act until the charge phase. So you're only completing the charge move, so you can't fight. But assuming then you do something else, you're still in position. It's not the best thing, but it's something. Hopefully, at the very least, it could get you like into another unit engaging that other thing that would then be shooting during the charge phase or something like that, right? Because the key is it's only the movement. It's not actually the fighting. I want to put a pin on that. Yeah. Like you only get the charge. You don't get to then like pile in an attack. You only get the pile in. You don't get to pile in an attack, right? So, which to me is the most useless one. I hate the pile in thing. It sometimes has value, but often it does not. I'm like, okay, I get to pile in a unit. I move like 3 guys. And I know you can be very tricksy with pile-ins, but it's not.
I'm not going to disagree. Like that is sure. That is clearly the worst of the options. I've stumbled upon a new one, by the way, in the Khorne battalions, which are you get to pile in and make a single attack per model. So even if you have like you don't get to do a full like pile in attack. It's just one attack from your profile, like one dice roll for each model. And I was like, son of a you know, like because you want the full pile in, and when you see that, you're just like, oh.
Yeah, it definitely behooves you like more elite units, right?
Yes.
That do more on the swing with one single attack rather than like sending in Blood Reavers to make one attack isn't exactly going to move the world. But yeah.
Not at all.
All right. So let's talk about leadership in the mixed force. Okay. And your sort of leadership options. So, and what were you running as your general when you're in your mixed destruction? Did you try a couple different items or a couple different guys?
It was a Night Goblin Shaman.
Nice.
And that was basically
going all the way.
Just a little schmuck in the back, because I think there's value in the little wizard in the back.
Mm-hmm.
There's really much value in the general, destruction ability. I think it's putting lipstick on a pig, especially when you compare it to the other ones. I think the wizards are nice. I think the mushroom ability to eat the mushroom and cast, and he's got Mystic Shield, he's got Arcane Bolt. You have which is another good direct damage spell. So out of a really cheap wizard, which is important because the army doesn't really have a whole lot. But I was okay with that. I think anything that's a goblin hero is kind of trash. And I think the generic green skin heroes outside the Wyvern, to be honest.
Yeah, to me, there are a couple interesting choices here. Tom, do you have any? I don't disagree with your choice. Having just like saying, forget it, who cares?
Like for a generic general.
Yeah, but I think I don't think there's anything wrong with Ant's choice. I think that there is value to that, to having that guy in the back and just being like, yep, that's the dude, who cares. And were you using like the Moon Clan Grot Shaman with the Curse of the Bad Moon? Is that the one you were using?
Yeah, and he had the extra wound, and he had the extra. Was it an extra save? It's either the arcane item or the ability that gave him an extra wound, so he got up to 5. Lucky him. I mean, he still got picked off by long rifle handgunner captains, right? And there was no hiding from that. But I was really disappointed because I have that really cool Game Zone Miniatures chariot. It has like the bathtub in the back, and like the goblin. Yep. You can't use it. It's just an absolute chariots out there in Destruction Land, and they're all kind of crap. So it's disappointing. You can't put like a Goblin King on a chariot, or you can't do.
Well, chariots in general,
Warlord on a chariot
have evaporated.
Yeah, they just don't do anything anymore, and that was an iconic, interesting, very orc kind of thing to do. And now it was the Wyvern, but when you compare it to like a Maul Crusher, it's not even comparable, right? So.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would concur with what Ant said, that for me, my experience has been like on that mixed destruction. Like, I don't know. To me, like, if I'm going to build a mixed destruction list, what that actually boils down to is I'm going to build a list that's largely going to be basically a 2-faction list. That it's going to basically have like 2 centers of power, probably 2 battalions if I have some control over it. And I'll pick one of those that needs the general, and I might make that my general. Like, I'm a big fan of like the Forest Goblin big boss on a spider, because he can really make those Arachnorocks scary. And he has a 4-up rerollable save, and he's not a monster, so he can go stand in terrain for 3-up. And those shamans have a bunch of like 2 spells per turn on the Arachnorocks, so he's normally within range of a Mystic Shield as well. So getting that general to a 2-up rerollable is actually really easy. And so I'm a big fan of the Goblin, and he's 100 points, so he's like a steal for what he is. He's a little tank, like he's a little hidden gem in Destruction. And so I'm a big fan of going like a big boss with a bunch of Arachnorocks, and then you flip and do something like Savage Orcs or Iron Jaws, like Art Boys or something like that for the other half of it. So, like in my mind, a mixed destruction list is probably a mixture of truly just a mixture of Savage Orcs and Forest Goblins. Like, that's probably what I would like. I think that's probably one of the more competitive mixed lists. So
I'm going to throw a couple different curveballs at you here. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Because I don't disagree with what you said, but I think there are options here that are being missed. So the Auric Warboss and the Auric Warboss on Wyvern are both interesting options. Like they're 140 and 240, and to me, the Wyvern guy's the choice. Now, the interesting thing about the Auric Warboss on Wyvern is that he triggers Auric.
Yeah.
So he works across the Auric forces. Like he can even buff Ironjaws, right? Because they still have the Auric keyword.
Indeed.
And and his WA ability, command ability, is quite powerful, right? Because he effectively is doing the same thing the WA unit of the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher is doing. He's in between the regular Mega Boss and the Mega Boss on Maw Crusher as far as the sort of distance, because the regular Mega Boss is 10 inches, the Maw Crusher's 15. This guy's 12. So, okay, in the middle. But he affects all units, all Aurics in your army that within that bubble. But he doesn't have to test. Right. Like the Mega Boss has to roll a die, and you've got to get less than the number of units, and you've got to have at least 6.
To get
have a chance to trigger the 2 attack thing. So it's actually, it can be rather tricky to stack up 6 Ironjaw units, in an area, right? This dude just makes 1 extra attacks with all of their melee weapons. He just makes that happen. Okay.
So is he in the greenskins, or is he in the compendium?
He's in the compendium, I think.
Has he been? I think it's the old one, Vince. I don't think
that he's greenskins. At least according to the app that I'm looking at.
Well, here's the issue, right? There's the natural progression of things, and my concern from a destruction standpoint is buying into something that will be sunset, right? It's going to be put into compendium. It's not like the Wyvern's going to come back.
Sure.
Plastic. Put it with the Sisters of Battle. It actually will happen probably before the Sisters of Battle. You get your plastic Wyvern.
Don't say such things. That's not nice.
They'll fine cast it. But, I think that's the concern with destruction. You have a lot of units on the teeter-totter right now, like your Squigs, like the Wyvern, that do you want to invest in those knowing where they're probably going?
Right. No, I mean, that's fair. I cannot argue with that logic. Like, some of those things, I don't think they're going to be as aggressive in the future. But that being said, I don't have any proof of that. That's just my sort of general feeling on the thing, right? Is that I feel like they've cut most of what they ripped the Band-Aid off to a point, right? And yes, Tom, the Auric Warboss on Wyvern is still in the normal things.
Yep.
He's
not compendium. Yep.
He is not compendium. Yep. And I think he's solid. Like, look, this guy's 240.
Yep.
Okay. He does work for it. Like, I agree to you. Like, Ant, I agree with your point. Sure, he's not a Mega Boss on Maw Crusher, but he's also 220 points cheaper. You can almost get 2 of him for 1 Mega Boss, right? And this dude still spits out like 13 attacks, all with Neg 1 Rend, right? All on pretty decent hit numbers. He'd benefit from his own command ability. So he shoots up because he's got, sort of 3 different things. He's going to shoot up to 16 attacks. His damage profile is 1 out of 6 attacks, 2 damage out of 5 attacks, and 3 damage out of 2 attacks. Like, he's pretty good. Like, he does some work. You know what I mean? Like, this guy isn't a slouch for 240.
Yep.
11 wounds, 4-up save. He can reroll all failed saves. So if you do buff him, Mystic Shield him, putting him on a 3-up rerollable, pretty solid. Like, that's not bad.
I mean, I don't disagree. What I would say is that the weird knob, so the Ironjaw Shaman, also by the way, I've looked at building this army. So the Auric army, the pulling generic, and so with the Warboss, the Ironjaw Shaman, his special bonuses to cast trigger off of Aurics nearby, not Ironjaws.
Right.
And so he actually benefits from going generic Aurics. And you can do what's the other thing? Oh, and then obviously the Rogue Idol. Yep. Right, Rogue Idol is generic Aurics.
Yeah.
And so all of those, so you can make a mixed destruction that's not Ironjaws, but with Ironjaws, and still, have some synergy.
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty potent thing, because it does let you spice in a little bit of the IJ stuff. You can pick up some brutes or something like that, and they're gonna still get real nasty real fast under that dude, under the Wyvern bosses, WA. Because anytime you start giving those dudes extra attacks, things get gross fast, right? So here's my other here. Now you're ready for the real curveballs?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Curveball number 1, Ogre Tyrant.
Okay.
Okay. He has a command ability. We're going to ignore that for the moment. I don't care about it. Okay. Just pretend like it doesn't exist. All right.
Okay.
Like, because it triggers the Gutbusters, which you may or may not have, which, by the way, you can. I wouldn't. I'm not against them. I'll talk about them a little later, but whatever. Okay. So this dude is 160 points.
Okay.
All right. So he's an 8-wound model with a 6-inch move and a 4-up save. Now he's got a lot of different sort of crazy, ridiculous weapon options. They can have, and they also get a pistol. So he has a little ranged attack, which is like, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. 2 attacks, a 4-up, 3-up, -1, D3 damage. Okay, neato burrito. But this dude has an attack on his profile. If you take the Massive Ogre Club, that's a 2-inch range, 4 attacks, 3-up, 3-up, -2 rend, 3 damage each. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, you get to roll up his big name. Okay. And his big name gives him some extra bonus. It can make him a move of 8. It can give him a save of 3. He can get +1 to wound. He can have 9 wounds instead of 8. And you can have the crappy result, which is the one where if you target a monster, you get to add 1 to damage. That's your worst case scenario, right? Because, all right, great. And then if you roll a 6, you just get to choose whichever one you want. Look, all I'm saying is, if you're looking for a big, tough hero, like to just be your general, you could do worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
At 160 points. Yeah.
At 160 points, this dude is a backbreaker. Like, he will smash things apart. He's 8 wounds, but he's not like a behemoth or anything. So he's great for sitting on a point in Duality of Death where he starts healing.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, like now, if you happen to have some reasonable sized unit of Gutbusters in your army, Iron Guts or the regular ogres or whatever, he also has the ability to just make them Battle Shock immune for the whole game. Okay, like he never needs to do anything to them again. He just uses this command ability once on them, and they'll, as long as he's alive, they're Battle Shock immune for the rest of the game. Meaning he can then start putting his actual be immune to Battle Shock on your, say, big unit of goblins or orcs or somebody else you need to be using that on, right? But it lets you take a medium-sized unit of ogres and make them pretty much immune, or make them immune to Battle Shock. I'm just saying. Not terrible. Okay? Now, let us prepare for the ultimate curveball. Troggoth Hag.
Why is that a curveball?
Because it's a ridiculous general. Okay.
Okay.
But she is a leader.
Sure.
She's a 16 wound leader that's a spellcaster. She has no command ability, and who cares? Like, if we can justify Grot Shamans, right, then we can do this chick.
Okay.
Okay. She's 16 wounds on a 4-up save, who is a spellcaster with an amazing spell. Amazing spell.
Yep.
She regenerates D6 wounds a turn in your hero phase. Like, that ain't a small amount of wounds, homie.
Yeah.
A 16 wound model regenning D6 a turn. Okay. And when she unbinds, she can cause mortal wounds to enemies. So she's going to be up in the mix, certainly. Yep. Right. She's got the standard copious vomit thing that she makes 6 attacks with on 3-up, -2 rend, D3 damage. 6. That's a lot. That's a lot of -2 rend attacks coming out of a single model. I'm just saying. Okay. And she also has -1 to be hit all the time, just because. Right? In melee.
Is that in melee? Yeah.
Yeah, in melee. That's a great general. A general with a built-in negative to be hit in melee, healing D6 wounds a turn.
And you said 3 what?
She's 360. She's expensive, but again, she's pretty worth it. Her spell, by the by, the Hag Curse, cast on a 7. Okay, so medium difficulty, right? Certainly not a gimme, but medium difficulty. More likely than not, but still. And if successfully cast, pick an enemy unit within 12 inches. It's visible to her. Subtract 1 from any hit rolls and save rolls for that unit until your next phase. Tell me that is not a great spell.
Yeah.
-1 to hit and saves. Are you serious? She's got a rust and another -1. So if she goes into the unit she casts that on, she's -2 to be hit. Okay. Like, she's just immortal at that point in melee. Between her self-healing and her save and her ridiculous number of wounds and -2 to be hit. And the fact that she's got, like, you know, her actual attacks are all just rend -1, and then her vomits rend -2. If she's cracking down a save by another one, that's free rend. I'm just saying.
What's her speed?
Her base save?
Her speed.
Oh, 8 inches base. So, you know, not super fast, not super slow. She's fine.
Yeah,
it is. It's on the monster profile. She will get slower, but again, she heals. So, you know, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'd run Saggy Boobs McGee.
Sure. As somebody pointed out in the comments, one of the big challenges with her is that she is legitimately expensive. That's true. Like, she's an expensive model from Forge World. I would think there are some stand-ins out there, but yes, like the Forge World model is pretty expensive. It is. It's a great sculpt. It really is. As a Forge World model, I actually love it. It's incredibly detailed and huge, by the way. You don't realize how big that thing is until you see it next to like the other trolls, but she is real big. I'm just saying, I think she's a secret winner in the leadership of the mixed destruction world. And again, where are you ever going to be able to take her other than mixed destruction? Right? Like as a you can take her as an ally, as a leader.
Yeah.
As a leader.
Yeah, not as a leader. Yeah, because Iron Jaws, I know there's a number of lists that are running her as an ally.
As an ally, which I totally get that. Like, yep. But I think she's an awesome general. I think she's tough as nails and can really crack. She can crack some nuts too. That's all I'm saying. All right, cool. We mentioned battle line earlier. Let's dig in on the battle line, shall we?
Sure.
Because it is not a wide choice. And what were you using for your battle line? What do you like?
Moon Clan.
Were you using just Grots, Moon Clan Grots?
No, I was using Moon Clan Grots aren't even battle line unless you go Moon Clan, so you have to use Grots generic.
They used to be.
Not
EW.
Yeah. And I mean the very generic Grots are cheaper if you're not going to take Fanatics, and their bow ability stacks, so maybe you take a bunch with bows to squat. If you take 60 of them with sword and board and you make them immune to battle shock, you just throw that great file line and say, you know, here's a turn or two. You know, good for when you face a murder host. You know, try to keep it as cheap as possible because all the hitting power is not in your battle line. It's like a tax you have to pay.
Right.
Keep it as cheap as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think generic destruction has a battle line problem right now. I really do. There's no bloodletters or whatever, right? Like, there's nothing that I look at and go, yep. There's no liberators or, you know, whatever.
They have a problem of roles. Their battle line units don't fulfill any roles in the army.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, cheap is a role, but they're not that cheap. Like that's the issue. If you have good battle line, generic battle line, you're golden. They don't, and there's a clear.
Yeah, but I would even if I'm only paying 60 points for a unit, I still want them doing something. Yeah. I don't know, man.
So for me, my money is on the ogres, generic ogres, ogre bulls, whatever you want to call them, right? They're 120 for 3, and they are battle line. Now, that's a lot for battle line, but to me, it's actually a mixed situation where you go some grots, some ogres, right? Yeah. And like whatever the mix of that is depends on what you're trying to build there. But the reason I like them is because it's the same principle as the old school ogre dart, right? Like that hasn't changed. Like 3 of them have they're like 12 wounds. They have a kickback mortal wound punch on their save if they save on a 6. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sure, exactly.
It's fine.
3 of them can get in the way. It makes it so people don't if people put normal heroes into them, they often pay the price for that.
Right.
And in the worst turn of events in history, and these guys are like 2 damage, a piece for each of their attacks. They make a pretty good number of attacks. They have a reasonable enough bonus on the charge. In like one of the worst case scenarios of all time, I charged an ogre dart. My buddy was running with a vampire lord on zombie dragon. Had these guys attack me. I swung on them, whiffed like crazy, did 2 wounds total. They swung on me. I dropped 3 ones on my saves and took 6 damage and then got blood boiled off the table. So that was fun. So, they can, like, hey, sometimes they can do work. You never know. At 2 damage apiece on them, I don't hate them. The problem is they have no rend. Like, obviously, they're another battle line unit with no rend, right? So they run against everything that says, like, if the thing has no rend, then blah.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, no doubt that is less than positive. To me, this is the place in mixed destruction where you suffer the most. And I agree. You got to make a choice. Like, are you just going to pay 60 points or whatever? Or whatever like 60 points for just some, or is it even, it's cheaper than that, right? They're technically cheaper than 60 points because the regular grots are 100 for 20, right?
Right.
So they're 50 for 10.
They're 50 for 10. So, I mean, they are super cheap.
You have to take them in 20s, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, effectively on parity, they're 50 for 10.
I mean, their bravery is 6 if you take the flag and they're more than 3 inches away. So if it's just something that squats on an objective in the backfield, for somebody to have to go out there and do all those wounds. That's with the bulls. It's only 3 of them. It's not so annoying to go get those wounds.
Yeah, right. I mean, you said like Vince. You said the weakness is battle line. I hear that, but when I look across destruction's like traits and items, there's just nothing. There's no standouts. Like you said, their big whiff for destruction is on battle line. Okay. Like I hear that, but to me, their big whiff is on command traits and artifacts. Like they have nothing when I look across that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to build around that. There's no, like, it's all ancillary worthless junk. There's no immunity to battle shock. There's no actual game turning abilities in any of their stuff. I mean, tell me I'm wrong. Because like Battle Brew is out of the picture now. It's a once per game, like 1 turn thing.
Right. Sure.
And it doesn't even affect mounts, so like the Arachnarok combo is gone.
Right.
The old 4-up save on mortal wounds is now a 5-up save, and it's only mortal wounds. So it's subpar, like it's not even as good as a Nurgle save now. There's the Rock Eye, which is like one of the better ones. And then pick an enemy within 12 inches, add +1 to hit rolls made by this model against that chosen unit. So like it's a +1 to hit from one hero onto one other unit nearby. And like that's the best that I'm seeing.
I disagree slightly.
Okay. Like sell me on something here that is worth taking.
Sure. I don't disagree with you that in general these aren't they aren't as good as what some other lists have. Okay. So for command traits, my preference is like Ravager or whatever it is. Yeah, Ravager.
Sure.
The one that just adds 1 to the rampaging, destroying roll. Being able to... Sure. Yeah, I understand. That's fine. Still, being able to have your general drop that on a 3-up is not a small thing.
No, but it's not... it's still a 6-up for the generals, right? This is not Iron Jaws. No, you don't get a 4-up.
You do. Add 2 to the
general. Okay. Yeah. So it's a 3-up.
Yeah, okay. Like that's it. Look, I know it doesn't seem like a huge shift. It's good. Is it great? Yeah. No. Is it build around? No. Is it good? Yes. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Yeah. Being able to drop that to a 3 matters. Like 16%, man. I don't know what to tell you.
No, I hear that. I mean, I know the math. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Now the artifacts are all
hot garbage.
I will argue there is one artifact in here that is corner case awesome.
Yeah, the monster, the Collar of Domination monster.
The Collar of Domination.
Yeah, it's a corner case. Like, okay, sure, take that. My KO are gonna ignore that.
I don't disagree. That's why I called it corner case awesome.
Yeah, but it's not even like if the army has a monster. Like sometimes the monsters aren't even going to be getting into combat. Like I think about like Tzeentch.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Like again, I'm not. It's not some magic catch-all. I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm saying is the ability to take any monster that's trying to sit on a point, or do something, or be in a fight and screw your dudes up. The ability to make a Star Drake just retreat and do nothing that round is not to be underestimated.
Well, you got to roll 2 dice and beat their bravery.
I get it, which is going to be like 8. Okay. In the case of like a Star Drake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I understand. Again, I didn't say that's why I said corner case. Forced retreating is generally so powerful.
It is. I'm not going to refute that at all.
Because not only do you determine the enemy movement, but you're also making them do nothing that turn. Right?
Yeah.
It's basically a time walk. So anything that has a chance to do that, I like. Now, I'll agree with you, man. I didn't say this is like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. Sure. Is that how I started?
No, it's not.
No, it is not. I started with, I think it is corner case interesting. Okay. And that's what I think it is. To me, it's the one to take. Because it
may be useful.
Yes. And it could, like, here's the thing. When it happens, it's going to be incredibly impactful on the game.
But let me point out, like, this is the world we live in with their artifacts.
Sure.
I'm going to take this because it may be useful.
Look, that being said, okay, what do I take on my Iron Jaws? What's my artifact for my Iron Jaws?
Are you going to take the boss stick or are you taking the bonus damage?
It's +1 damage. That's what I take.
But they don't need it to be strong. They're stronger collectively, right? I mean, this is the whole lipstick on a pig thing.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. My point is just like, it's not like I look at the artifact list of Iron Jaws and it's horribly underwhelming too. So I'm not like, I don't want to make it seem like this is some weird rarefied situation, right? My point is that it's whatever. Like the +1 to damage is about as good as like, say, the 5-up board save thing, probably.
Sure, and I hear that, but like I'm thinking compared to like other actual like armies, where they actually have like real artifacts,
sure,
that are worth taking, that are valuable, and that will change the game.
I understand. We jumped ahead in my sections to command traits and artifacts, but that's okay.
I'm moving us along.
That's fine. I will. That's good. It'll let us close out on a high note, because let's close out on the real story of why you run mixed destruction, and it's to get the toys. You want to get it's like Arby's where they have the meats. This is all about the beats. You want to get those big toys on the table. And Destruction has some of the most fun big toys.
Did you just use Arby's positively? Because I think that's the first time that I've ever heard you make an Arby's reference that's not negative, Vince.
Arby's is absolutely horrible.
You're growing as a person.
Thank you. So
I've never talked about Arby's in my life. So I can't believe you've had a conversation about it.
We've talked a lot about everything, including I have a lot of strong opinions on many things. So yes, Arby's is included.
And I love Arby's. So this is an incensed conversation that we have regularly.
You worked there and he still loves Arby's. It's impossible How do you work at a fast food restaurant and still love it?
For multiple years. Like I loved it. I love Arby's. Like I don't think you understand. Anyways, continue.
Right on. All right. So let's talk about the monsters and sort of the other big units. So, Ant, you were using the squig combo, right? You were rolling both the squigs, I know, for a little while. What did you like in the mix?
The Mangler squigs are good. I mean, I think they're a little bit overcosted. I mean, the Colossal squig is better for the 60 points more. I think he's 300. But the Mangler squig's like a third of the footprint.
Yeah.
When you talk about board size and control, the Colossal squig just gets annihilated because everyone can hit its base. Small enough. I mean, a Mangler squig can roll into like a Frost Phoenix and kill it.
Yeah.
crazy, but he's 240 points. I'd like to see his power down a little bit and get him below 200. If you get him to like the 160 range, I think that's where he can be really dangerous. The Colossal Squig at 300, I think his base size prohibits him. The Rogue Idol's really cool, but he's super expensive and doesn't ally with anybody. So, I mean, you're really sticking him out there. And I mean, at 400 points, now we're talking about Maul Crusher territory, and he's just not Crusher. But you take him because he's the Rogue Idol and he's cool. But
he is cool.
And I mean, the Arachnarocks, I think, are all right. I think your combo's pretty cool. I'd be ready, but Arachnarocks on their own, I think, are underwhelming. And again, their bases are massive.
But they're so cheap. They're like 280 for 14 wounds on a 4-up save that are going to spit out normal wounds. That each shaman has 2 spells per cast. So like 2 Arachnarocks will be all of your base spells that you need. And then if you have them backed up by that hero, all their bites are going to do mortal wounds on a 5-up.
If they hit, yeah.
And so I mean, I'm still a fan of the Ragnarok Big Boss combo, but that's me.
I mean, think about who I play. I play Murder Host.
Yep.
I play 100 Handgunners. I play against Zeech Skyfires. That's every week on a rotate. So get fucked, get raped, get fucked and raped. Like that's the play scenario, right?
Yep.
So for mixed destruction, you can't engage them because they all mortal wound machine, or you can't outshoot them or engage them because they'll never let you catch them. So I'm a little bit of a creature of the environment I play in.
Sounds like you need to go back to your KO.
Still lose, but they'll lose with a little bit more grace. But Bloom Boys, but they're very easy to hard counter, and it's the conversation about how do you get them in delivery system. Do you bubble wrap the Rogue Idol with like 40 or 60 grots?
Yep.
He's got a 2 or 3 inch melee range, so the grots can eat the wounds, and the Rogue Idol can punch over the top. But the Rogue Idol's random movement. The Mangler Squigs are random movement, which is good and bad, right? I think that's kind of like the fun elements, but made them effective in 8th edition is not the things that make them effective in AOS.
Right.
And they tried to keep some of the fun elements in there, but it's prohibited because of their inability to ally with anything relevant.
Have you tried anything truly crazy, like, say, a Magma Dragon? Because, I mean, you have access to all those really insane monsters, right? The Magma Dragon clocks in at 520. Like, that dude is a heck of a lot of points.
But that's a different level of, like, douchebag, though, right? Like, when we start talking about, I'm going to take Magma Dragons, and I'm going to take...
They are bringing Skyfires.
Right, yeah, but you're facing, like, the Tier 1 listathon. I'm not sure we're not in the realm. Like, seriously, you just named off, like, the top 3 competitive lists. I don't think that this... I think at this point, it's game on, is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, you need to cheese up. Like, you need to lock and load. Like... And you shouldn't feel ashamed by that. I mean, like, they started the arms race.
Absolutely. The Magma Dragon.
Yeah, don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Look, all I'm saying is that Magma Dragon, yeah, he's 520 on the points. He's got a 16-inch fly speed unmolested. He's 20 wounds, 4-up save. He's got an 18-inch D6 or 2D6 mortal wound spit. That just, like, you roll a die, and on a 2-up, it does either a D6 or 2D6 mortal wounds if the unit has 10 or more models. That's a lot of mortal wounds. And his main attacks, he's rocking 4 attacks that are 3-up, 2-up, neg 3 rend, D6 damage. This guy makes sense. Cannonballs, man. Like, not even cannonballs can't touch this dude. He's too hot. Okay? This is absolutely the Bruno Mars, Mark Ronson combination of dragons. Like, he's too hot. And, 8 claw attacks that are all like 4-up, 3-up, neg 1, 2 damage. Fine, whatever. To me, it's the breath and it's the jaws, man. Mm-hmm. So, by the way, this guy also has the Jabber Scythe ability.
Does he really? Oh, yeah, he gets back mortal wounds.
Yeah, and every wound, like, this is a crazy ability. So, like, you could just shove this guy into things and watch those things explode as they kill him. Like, this dude's rocking 20 wounds, and any unit, there's no roll to this. Any unit which inflicts wounds, It's not. It doesn't. I shouldn't say it. It's not exactly the Jabber Scythe ability. It's not as good. The Jabber Scythe triggers per wound. This is just an any, so it's not as good.
Yeah.
I'll clarify. Any unit that inflicts the damage, inflicts any wounds on a Magma Dragon suffers D3 mortal wounds at the end of the combat phase, but it's still kickback. Okay, it's more mortal wounds. The Jabber Scythe's nice because it's per wound it suffers, so it can really just go explosive. So I don't want to oversell it, but it's still good. I'm just saying, I love the Magma Dragon. 16-inch fly speed, a neg-3 rend attack, mortal wound, spit. Yeah, he's a lot of points, but okay. He's a lot of points. Lots of things to lots of points. You got to spend them points somewhere, man. Why not on a giant fiery dragon? You want to talk about causing something that's going to get the attention of the enemy army.
Yeah, they have to deal with that. Like, that's something that when you put on the table, you can control their attack, like where they're putting models, where they're attacking. And by the way, you will be able to outdrop anybody, because you don't, like in mixed destruction, you've already given up the drops, so you can drop him last.
Right.
And so
make
you
sure
can
he's in the best position where he can't be targeted by
Right.
as much as possible. Force them, like they know they're going to have to target him, put him in such a position where if their Skyfires or whatever wants to target him, they got to come way out.
Yep.
Right. Draw them forward because they're going to try to come out and mortal wound that guy into the ground on Tzeentch dice. Great. Let them, but then make it so you've got a response where you're a destruction move away from just smashing those guys in the ground. Cause those guys will fold. Like Skyfires will fold if put under the right pressure. Like get them in melee and you can beat them down.
Yep. Get them in melee and activate first. Like
yes.
you need to get the charge on them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Those guys are no slouches in melee, but if you catch them first, you'll kill them. Yeah, I love this guy as bait. And if they don't kill him, he's going to go wreck the shop, man. He is just ready to do some work. So yeah, Magma is my little favorite. And by the way, how easy is it to proxy that guy? Can we just talk about that for a minute? Because like, it's a dragon. It's just a dragon.
You're gonna paint him red, maybe black with some lava.
It's a red dragon. Cool. Bones makes a lot of those. Like a lot of them. For like $50.
I think that's the ultimate dick
$30.
move, to take the best, most expensive Forge World model and pull out like a Reaper Bone.
Yep.
Hey, look, I don't even think the Magma Dragon's still an available kit from Forge World.
It is.
Are you sure?
It's like a salamander looking dragon. Yeah.
Is it still on there? Is it actually still even on the shop?
I'm pretty sure. Because I've looked at him a couple times. He's actually like a sculpt. Like he's like the frog, kind of like the frog dragon. Like he's real low, hunched to the ground.
He's very big too, model wise.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure.
His footprint's massive.
I mean, all of those things are big. I mean, that's just what it is.
And he's not that expensive. All things considered, he's probably like $130 model. Like he's not the 180, not in that 180 range. Here you go. Boom, Magma Dragon.
Oh boy, that is underwhelming.
Yeah, the wings are not.
Yeah,
I think Reaper makes better stuff than that.
Yeah, you could convert those wings. I like his spininess.
I'm not spending $130 to chop shop a fucking Forge World model. I mean, let's get.
Well, let me tell you what worries me, Tom. Even on the Forge World model, they couldn't hide the seam lines.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Right. Like if they don't even hide it on the actual, house painted model, that guy is not it. That is not 20 wounds impressive. I'm sorry. That isn't that big.
That's on a 100 by 150 base.
Yeah, that's okay. I need something bigger. I need more verticality. Like he looks like a little badger.
He looks like a lizard. Like a fire salamander. That's what he looks
like. An
he doesn't even look like he can fly. Like
that looks like an angry iguana.
See, this is the perfect reason to run him. Let me just say that. You're gonna put him on the table and they're gonna be like, that doesn't look impressive. And then you're gonna melt their face.
Yes, somebody called him a snapping turtle in the comments. That's very accurate.
The mouth is very snapping turtle-ish. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Absolutely. No, I'm going to go ahead and proxy that guy. Sorry. Look, I'm all about supporting, GW with the real models and stuff, but nope. If I'm rolling the 520 point Magma Dragon, I'm taking the biggest, most ridiculous dragon and putting him on a giant castle base and something like that. Like that's what
So
that needs to look
you're
like.
just going to use the dragons don't share base on the actual castle. The dragons don't share a castle.
Yes, with the actual dragon. Now we're talking. Like now that's a red dragon with presence. Like it needs to have. Like I'm sorry, a 20 wound model, the size of like the mammoth, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Like that's a 22 wound model. That thing has presence on the table. Like that feels like a 22 wound model when you roll like a battleship sized thing onto the table, you know? Like that magma dragon, like in world, is like you strap 2 semi trucks together and drove it onto the table. Okay, not angry snapping turtle with like sort of
No, not just a snapping turtle. The spiny snapping turtle.
this spiny iguana turtle is
but you can hide it from line of sight. Though.
That's true. That dude,
you can hide that one from line of sight. That dude's gonna get.
If you're gonna be the ultimate dick and take a magma dragon, you might as well be the ultimate dick and make it so that way you can hide it.
Yeah, because that dude can hide behind a GW hill. He's crouching.
He is super low. Somebody recommended taking Smog. That's significant investment, but that's more appropriately sized. Like Smog is the right sized, and as we all know, his teeth are swords, and his claws are spears, and his wings a hurricane, his tail a thunderbolt, and his breath death. So, that's actually much more appropriate. I would support that. Absolutely. If somebody sat down a Smog and said, "This is my magma dragon," I'd be like, "You're darn right it is." Now you're talking. You have went all in, and I appreciate that. So there you go. All right. Anything else you want to say? Closing thoughts on destruction? Ant, any final thoughts?
Just go cheap Reaper Bone, put 2 or 3 magma dragons on the fucking board. Over your knee, so we can have some fun fucking games. I think that's my mission for 2018. Just
there you go. Double magma, baby. Easy.
Triple magma. Fuck them. We'll run 3 units of 10, 20 grots and just triple magma.
And a 60 wound grot shaman as your general.
I'm the triple magma dragon. That'll be like $40 from Reaper Bone. It's done. We don't even need to do it right. We just need to do it wrong.
So let's see. You've got 3 magma dragons is 1560, 300 points in 20 grot packs, which is 1860.
Oh man, you got 140 left.
Yeah,
you got an 80-point hero and a 60-point hero.
Exactly. Boom. This army just came together. Look, you've got 75 bodies on the table. Okay, so you're good there. Nobody knows what to do when the 3 magma dragon meta hits. Like that is just that's too many magma dragons. People don't know what to do. I am building this army. That's it. Like that's exactly. That's cheap goblins, bones dragons, 2 shamans. Call it a day or whatever, it's shaman and the other 60-point hero. There's the little grot war boss is like 60 points.
I'm taking my meta back in 2018.
There you go. Skyfire's what? Shoot all these down. I hope you brought all the Skyfires. You'll get one of them. There you go. All right, we've rebuilt Ant's army.
Tom's actually legitimately thinking how he would kill 3 magma dragons.
I am, and I'm trying to process like what I would even do to.
60 wounds of magma dragon.
Fuck the mission. Who cares? I'm just gonna table you, and then I'll go back and collect the chips. Like I don't even need to.
Yeah, that's what you have to do with something like that.
I mean, round 1, those magma dragons could easily sweep. They could be hidden behind the line where they can't easily be targeted by most ranged stuff. Sweep forward, and their breath is 18 inches, so they can like pick a single unit and do 66 mortal wounds to a big unit. That should delete that unit pretty close. That's a lot of mortal wounds. It's many, I would say.
I'm doing it.
There you go. The triple magma meta. Magma meta. Hashtag mag meta. There it is. Cracked it. Cracked it. I think it's hashtag 3 mag meta. There you go. There's the hashtag.
And you're only like what? You're only like what, 8 drops?
Yeah.
Yeah, 7, 8 drops, yeah.
8 drops, yeah. You could probably take it to 7 if you blew all 140 on a single hero, right? I don't know that you want to, but you could. So. You're thinking about it.
I am.
We've turned this around.
Well, I'm actually thinking about like what could I do if I dropped 1 magma for 2 Arachnaroks?
Oh, there you go.
I gained 2 heroes out of that deal, 4 spells. And
don't all the little grots have bows?
They do. So all the on the Howdah.
Fully ranged army. This is a destruction 100% ranged army.
And then you could get that down to 4 drops. You could get that down to 7 that way.
It's all coming together. There you go. We've broken this wide open. Tom, any final thoughts as we totally reinvent the mixed destruction meta on the way out of the show?
No. Nope. I don't have anything. Done.
All right, there you go. I look forward to seeing this coming to the top tier or top tables at a tournament near you real soon. Absolutely. We're gonna reinvent the meta in 2018 with #3magmeta. There you go. All right. For everybody out there, thank you, of course, for watching. We really appreciate it. Ant, good to have you back on the show, buddy. Always a fun time.
Thank you.
And for all of you out there, we thank you very much for watching. As always, we'll see you next Wednesday.